Aaron here from movie Battleground, bringing to you the next match. Again, two new guys fighting it out for the first time. We have Malcolm Lay taking on Isaac Horvat. But before we get to their introductions, this match is going to be a bit shorter than the normal ones. Due to a technical issue, we actually lost round one. We started recording, and then for whatever reason, the recording cut out due to internet issues, and we don't have the footage of it anymore. But just to give you guys the down of what happened, the question was, what movie of another genre should be rebooted as a comedy? The Exorcist, and Malcolm chose The Exorcist. Isaac chose The Happening. And I will say it was a strong fight between the two of them. I wish we still had it to show. But in the end, Isaac did bring out the point, with the main point winning it being that you could twist it into a bit of a stoner comedy, and now you'd be taking a genre and putting a new spin on it. But I want to stress that it was a great argument. Both guys had really, really good points in it. It was just a constant back and forth of here's a great point, and one hits it away, and that was the one that stood out to get the winner. And again, unfortunately, we do not have a recording of that, but honestly, I may just keep that question and use it in another match, and we'll just have two other movies get picked, because that's a good question to have people fight on. It's a fun idea. All right, so before we get into the second question, we'll go ahead and give the introductions. First fighter, Isaac, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm especially good being one up, but it is a great question. The only thing I would maybe redo it and say excluding comedy, because as soon as I heard that question, I'm like, I'm gonna make something in comedy because that's the easiest to make it. You know what I mean? So that was a good match, and I wish we did have it because I couldn't touch his cast, but yeah, pretty
good. Malcolm. How you doing, man?
It was such a great first round, that's for sure.
It was something else. I just have to ask, without the fight, there's no context, but who's Jim Carrey playing in your movie, Malcolm?
I hadn't actually thought of that until now. I was thinking of having him as the voice of the devil coming from the girl.
All right, guys. With that, we'll go ahead and get on to the second fight. For the second question, this was a question that we've asked before, but we decided we'll let it get asked again because both these guys bring some different answers, and obviously there's a large number of answers we could pick for this one. But the question is, besides Pixar, because I think we can all agree they have the best track record of putting out good films, what is the best non-Pixar animated film? Isaac, you're going to go ahead and go first on this one. Go ahead and give your opening argument.
All right, the non-Pixar animated movie that I picked for the best ever is the classic Fox and the Hound, a movie from my childhood. And I'm glad that the question wasn't what's the best animation in an animated film, because I will admit this isn't some brilliant computer animated film that just blows you away visually. But I think what makes it the best is the themes that it explores, the message to its viewers, and just how it hits you in the heart. You have great voice work from Mickey Rooney and Kurt Russell. Corey Feldman and Keith Coogan are also in it. Yeah, I think this is what makes it the best is the message. And I can't wait to hear Malcolm's.
That's facetious. That's facetious. You already know what it is. Malcolm, go ahead and surprise us all with what your pick is.
So the best non-Pixar animated movie I picked was Shrek, and I mean it's great because I mean even that has a great message. Like that beauty is not what's on the outside, but what's on the inside. His voice cast is amazing. Like you got Mike Myers, and I mean even some of the great lines like Nah, my gumdrop buttons are amazing.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and put 5 minutes on the clock here. Go ahead and argue it out. Best non-Pixar animated film, The Fox and the Hound versus Shrek.
I want to thank Malcolm for picking Shrek because it's an interesting fight. I've got one thing to say to you, Malcolm. You're a monster!
Bonus point for 2 good Gingy impersonations.
I can quote Shrek all day. I love that movie. I'm super surprised that you picked it for the best non-Pixar animated movie, because just from DreamWorks, there are several, including How to Train Your Dragon, that I would choose before it. What I would say about Shrek is it relies a lot on fart jokes and potty humor and even some off-color humor that might not be suitable for children. And when we're talking about animated movies, you have to think about that. Things like Lord Farquaad might be something that you don't want your kid sitting there being exposed to, whereas Fox and the Hound is perfect for young viewers, and it has a much better message than what Shrek does, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, Fox and the Hound, I mean, admittedly, I haven't seen it, so this is going to make things interesting for me, but it is, I've seen clips, I mean, I have seen bits and pieces of it, I mean, I haven't completely not seen it, so, I mean, but, I mean, it is great, I mean, one that, I mean, yes, with anime movies, as you say, they are primarily for kids, mostly. I mean, what Shrek does good is, like, it does balance out the whole humor that kids like, but also adult stuff. I mean, quite often it is not as pronounced, and they are just there so adults can enjoy it as well. On the IMDb top 200 animated movies, like, Shrek is 17 and isn't on it. And even on Rotten Tomatoes, Fox and the Hound isn't up there either, but Shrek is about 70 on there somewhere. Yeah.
One of the reasons why people love Shrek so much, and admittedly, it's one of the reasons I like it, is because it's a spoof. It's a spoof on the Disney princess movies, where you think it's Beauty and the Beast, but it's really like the opposite of that. The problem I have with that is that it doesn't really stand up to any kind of critique. The whole idea of beauty is deeper than skin, that's a great message. I just wish Shrek would have actually had that message in it, because the whole movie, Shrek is a horrible, horrible person. He's rude to everyone he meets. He's abusive and horribly mean to Donkey, and there's no redeeming qualities to the character of Shrek or Fiona. Fiona is one of the more interesting characters in animated, like, film. You think she's just like this damsel in distress, and I'm glad that she's not, but at the same time, that's her character. She's not a damsel in distress. There's no growth from her. There's no interesting parts of that. Fox and the Hound is this great message of how friendships can change and people can change, and it's something that kids need to be exposed to, and it breaks adults' hearts when they think about the friends that they might have been best friends with as children, and now they've grown apart, and things happen in life, and that's something that is more universal and more affecting than what Shrek has to offer.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you say that Shrek doesn't get redeemed, I disagree. I mean, by the end, he definitely does have that redeeming thing, because, I mean, it's realizes, like, when he he overhears Fiona talking about herself, and beast, but and the look on his face when he was walking away to go to Lord Farquaad, you can definitely tell that he knows that he does love this girl, and I mean, and he thinks that she doesn't love him back. And when he realizes that she was talking about. You can definitely tell that the love is there, and like the moment in the end where Fiona changes, like when they kiss, and Fiona changes, and it's pretty much showing that she's accepting who she is inside, which is something that a lot of young girls don't get. Because I mean, like they've got young girls who still like want to try to change themselves on the outside just to like desirable to others, but really all they need is their personality.
All right, guys, before we get into that, that is the 5 minutes up on the fight. This is going to be your final arguments. This is the final chance to push back, get those points in, and win this fight. Isaac, you are first. Go ahead, man.
Okay, the problem with that ending is that it also has a flip side to that, where the only reason Shrek can get a girl is if she's ugly too. That's my problem with Shrek, is that it's not love the person for who they are, it's that ugly people should be together. That's what that's what drives me crazy about that ending. When she turns into an ogre, it would have been better if she would have been a princess, and she loved Shrek anyway, and Shrek loved her anyway. It still is about beauty at the end of the day. It's still about that. It's just ugly people should be together. That's it. At the beginning of the movie, Shrek is a dick, and at the end of the movie, he's a dick with a girlfriend. That's the whole point of that movie. Here's the crux of Fox and the Hound: is Todd is sitting there talking to Big Mama, and he says, and she's talking about how Copper is going to go away, and he's going to come back different. He's going to come back a hunting dog, and it's going to be different between you guys. And Todd says, "Oh no, not my friend Copper. He won't ever change, and we'll keep being friends forever." And she says, "Darling, forever is a long, long time, and time always has a way of changing things." And at the end of the movie, that's what I love about Fox and the Hound. It's not a princess movie. It's not a typical Disney movie. It's about friendship, and at the end of the day, how friendship changes, and how people don't always stay friends because of life and because of society, and that sucks. And that's something that you just have to be aware of. And for kids to know that and be aware of that is what makes Fox and the Hound the best animated movie.
All right, Malcolm, go ahead. Final arguments.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, the whole friendship message is great and something that kids know. I mean, like the whole Shrek is one of the most quotable movies of the 2000s. Like the villain of Lord Farquaad is defined great, and I mean, the one thing is the music that they pick is like a lot of that classic music, which helps cement it for adults is enjoying. Like, yes, it is like refers as a nap, but I mean, it's done in a way that they try to aim it based on that message. And like Mike Myers is amazing as Shrek, Cameron Diaz is great as Fiona. I mean, all the writing was like just amazing.
All right, guys, that is the end of fight number 2. Once again, a really, really good point. I think it's clear that both of you really love your movies, and you guys both have a great argument for them. Unfortunately, there was one really big point given in there in those final arguments that the other made no attempt to try and combat, and that's what it has to give me the win. It is the point that Isaac made about Shrek, where he kind of is still a bit of a dick at the end of the movie in that he only gets the girlfriend because she turns into an ogre as well, which means now she's good enough for him. It's a low blow to pull out there, but it's valid. And Malcolm, though he did put in some final good points about Shrek, it is good casting. They do a good job in the movie, and I do agree that the music selection was really well done for the film. He didn't make an attempt to try and combat that point, and that's why I'm going to have to give Isaac the win in this round, simply because that is a major point to put out about a film, and to not address it at all, that hurts Malcolm.
Good round.
But once again, it's great fighting between the two of you. You guys are definitely going back and forth at it.
I was afraid. I was afraid on the ropes. I was on the ropes there.
That was a point to pull out. That was certainly something.
I completely forgot about that until right at the final.
I actually couldn't think of anything to combat.
Sometimes that's what it takes. It's you. The one person gets that one point. Yeah. You just think, well, shit. All right, guys. Good fight, though. Definitely still not out of this. We still have 2 more rounds to go. And so the next question we have, and this is the time I'll take to plug something. If anyone competing has a question, a specific question they would like to be asked in a battle, you guys can submit it to me, and we can use it in one of the future fights. And this is one of those questions submitted by Jeremy Hastings. The question is, best movie based on a TV show. And we're going to go ahead and let Malcolm go first. Malcolm, opening arguments. What is the best movie based on a TV show?
The best movie based on a TV show is the Muppets movie from 2011, and is because it reinvent the TV show something that it never was. Like acting of Jason Segel and Amy, great. I mean, and it all brings back the complete nostalgia by referencing the actual TV show as well, and like they don't try to change it from what it was.
All right, Isaac, go ahead and give your opening arguments.
All right, sorry, I was writing there. All right, the best movie based on a TV show is South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. South Park TV show is a great TV show, and this movie somehow manages to take everything the TV show has and make it better, and at the same time staying true to what the TV show was. It's still a relevant movie, shockingly. Now, what, 20 years later? It's 20 years? No, was it 15 years? Something like that. Or is it 20 years? Jeez, that's
we can fact check.
Yeah, it's 97, I think. Either way, it's still relevant. It's still insanely watchable. I watched it last night, and the jokes still land. And the message is still there. The Muppets, it's a great little kids movie. It's obvious Jason Segel really loves the Muppets as a whole, and he did bring a lot to that movie. The problem is, at the end of the day, the Muppets, they're just puppets, and that's all they offer. They don't offer any deep societal reflection or insight.
All right, good opening argument, guys. And just to give the quick fact check there, for Isaac, it was released in 99, so 18.
99. Okay.
So you got close, though. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead. We're putting the 5 minutes on the clock once again. We're going to argue best movie based on a TV show. Again, couldn't pick 2 more different films here. The Muppets versus South Park. Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
I'll just say, after this match, I might not be your buddy guy.
Go ahead, guys. Go ahead and fight.
Okay, why the Muppets? There are many movies that the Muppets have made, and I think some of them are even better than the 2011 movie. The TV show itself is fine, but also forgettable. I just don't think there's anything deep there to think about. They're great for kids, and that's fine. What's great about South Park is that is how deep it gets into society. It's got great music, Oscar nominated. Characters are interesting, fresh, very memorable, quotable as all get out.
I mean, like South Park. I mean, the whole TV show. I don't like it. Um, Completely terrible, in my opinion. But I mean, opinions aside, I mean, what the TV show did, like, it didn't change him. But I mean, the Muppets, like, they and like movies, and but I mean, like, my favorite has been the 2011 one because it took the Muppets and they new things and tried to reason to why Jaden, and I mean CEO sort of be able to play with the Muppets, and it's great. I mean, it's Concords, which is a great New Zealand band.
So you prefer the 2011 to like Muppets Christmas Carol? Wow. Okay. I mean, that's fine. Like you said, this whole thing is opinions. I get it. The Muppets are fun. And the 2011 movie is a good movie. But once again, just to reiterate, the songs in South Park, Oscar nominated, and far better than any Muppet song ever. The whole Blame Canada song, which was the Oscar nominated, just listen to some of the words from it. Times have changed. Our kids are getting worse. And then it goes on, should we blame the government or society? Should we blame the images on TV? And the greatest thing, blame Canada. That's so accurate to how adults are in today's society. It's blame anything, because even it ends with, we have to blame something because of the fuss before somebody thinks of blaming us. It's all about parental responsibility and maybe taking some responsibility for how you raise your kids and what your kids are. It's not necessarily all these these things, external things. Maybe you should take a look at yourself and how you do. And it's also about censorship. What it does is it changes the TV show. The TV show is on TV, okay? And it got regulated, obviously. You can't show everything on TV. What they did with the movie is they went full out. And they had so much trouble getting it into production that they specifically made that a meta part of the movie, where in the movie, Mrs. Broflowski says, remember what the MPA says, horrible, deplorable violence is okay as long as people don't say any naughty words. That is so true. I don't know how TV is in New Zealand, but here it's like, as long as it's not bad language, it's fine. Show horrible, grisly murders. That doesn't affect kids at all. It's the bad language, and that's why this movie is relevant still today, and much deeper and better.
Yeah, I mean, like you said it, but I mean, even in the Muppets, was also and it ran in that year's Oscars as well, and it is educational for kids, and like they can look up to the Muppets, and because I mean, like, the main point of the movie was it's like getting the Muppets to reunite, and message is important for kids. Like, it shows that if you drift away as friends, I mean, similar to the animated argument, the whole friendship thing, like, shows that you can drift away from your friends, but then you can come back together and still have the same spark of friendship.
All right, guys, that's going to be the end of the main fight there. So you guys are each going to get one more chance to either prove your movie or rebut against the other one. Malcolm, you're going to be first. Closing arguments. Go ahead.
Right. So I mean, the Muppets, like, it's a TV show because it brings back the nostalgia from adults who may have grown up watching the Muppet Show around, and you can bring them back. I mean, it won the Oscar for best song. Well, South Park. I mean, I mean, I see why people like the movie, but I mean, the song "Blame Canada" it was only nominated for an Oscar. It never won. I mean, yeah, and so that's why I think The Muppets is the best movie based on a TV show.
All right, Isaac, go ahead. Closing arguments.
Okay, the fact that it never won is even better because there's no way that a giant society like the Oscars is going to award a movie that points the middle finger at them with an actual award. They gave it a nomination because it was so popular, but the reason that they gave it to Blame Canada is because the song that they actually were going to do was Uncle Fucker, and that should have been nominated. The reason that they went with that is because that was too offensive and could never be on TV. That in itself is what makes South Park even better. It's more quotable, it's more relevant, and it's more funny. The Muppets is just a nostalgia porn movie. That's it.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for this fight. The only factual thing is actually something both you guys pulled out. Both movies had songs nominated for the respective Academy Awards that year. With the Muppets case, Man or Muppet was nominated, and it did win for Best Original Song. With South Park, obviously, as was said, Blame Canada was the song nominated. Interestingly enough, I did not realize this. Anybody know the song it lost to? You'll Be in My Heart by Phil Collins from Tarzan.
Wow.
I just thought that was interesting. But no. Once again, good fight, guys. This one was a bit tougher for me because I didn't really get a lot of rebuttal against either film. It was really more you guys were defending your own choices. I definitely think if there had been a little more rebuttal on both sides against the other one's movie, it could have helped a bit more. But I think you guys did make a lot of great points. Malcolm, you discussed the fact that it kind of, while it also stuck to the idea of what the show was, it did reinvent it a little bit for a more modern audience. But it also, with adults, it helped rely on the nostalgia of the show and the feeling of the show. Isaac, you talked about how the movie was relevant to then and today, and that it stuck with the tone of the show, but pushed it farther than the show could on TV. And I think you guys both made good points. And again, something I'll give you credit for. I think you guys did both make good points in relation to not only why these are both good movies, but why they work as based off a TV show, why they work. However, the break here is I'm going to have to give it to Isaac once again, simply because I think he did a little more explaining and elaboration on his points than Malcolm did. But that's the only break in it. Again, I would say both of you guys gave really good arguments on that fight. It's just Isaac got a little more explaining and backing of his points in than Malcolm did, so that's why I'm going to have to side with him on this argument. But again, great fight, guys. Really good round.
I didn't think I had that one. I'm going to fully disclose here. I've never seen the Muppets movies. I've never seen any of them.
So you were bullshitting when you were really hurt that he thought it was better than Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh, yeah, completely.
Nice. Can you name me 3 Muppet films?
There's one Muppets in Outer Space, Muppets Go to Treasure Island, something like that. I think they're both Muppets movies.
That is correct. They are Muppet movies. Good job, man. All right. I guess he gets you back there because Malcolm didn't see Fox and the Hound, so you got your own fight back there. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and get into the fourth and final question. So just to give a score standing here, Isaac is up 3-0. So Malcolm, if you get this point, we will push on into the speed round. However, if Isaac gets the point, it will be a 4-0 knockout victory for Isaac. So definitely, and again, I cannot say, no matter where the score goes, this has been a great fight between both of you.
Great fight.
It's just there's always something little that pushes it in his direction. So for the final fight of the main game, what is the best modern Western? And the only defining we had on modern Western with this question was it had to have been released in the last 20 years. So from 1997 on, and both these films do qualify, they are both Westerns. So for the final fight, Isaac, you are going first. What is the best modern Western?
I'm so excited to fight this fight. I love Westerns. It's one of my favorite genres, probably right behind gangster films. So when I heard this question, I immediately rattled off two in my mind, but they were disqualified because they were TV movies. That's how much I'll watch anything Western. So the best theatrically released, I'll quantify that because there are better, but they weren't theatrically released, is 310 to Yuma, 2007 Western by James Mangold, interestingly. This movie, it's fresh in my mind because I literally just watched it about 3 hours ago. What it does perfectly is it's a true Western. It embraces some of the tropes of the Westerns, and at the same time, it kind of deconstructs the Western a little bit, where there is ultimate evil on one side and ultimate good on the other side. But you get into a little bit of maybe there's a sacrifice to being the good guy in a Western, and maybe good doesn't always win out. It's a beautifully directed movie, beautiful cinematography, incredible score. It received 2 Academy Award nominations, one for sound mixing, I think, and one for the score. Great performances around the board. Russell Crowe, Christian Bale, an early turn from Logan Lerman, and actually a very small part for Alan Tudyk, but a very effective one. His spoiler alert, death in the movie is super affecting. 2007's 310 to Yuma is the best modern Western.
All right, good opening statements, Isaac. Malcolm, we're going to go to you. What is your pick for best modern Western?
Well, I mean, my pick for best modern Western is Django Unchained. Because, I mean, pretty much it is a tribute to the whole classic Westerns. And I mean, like, you've got lots of great actors from Leonardo DiCaprio. And I mean, by Quentin Tarantino, I mean, it's one of his best movies that he's made. And I mean, that's why I picked it for best modern Western.
All right, so because this is the final fight, gonna go ahead and throw an extra minute up on the clock. You guys have 6 minutes to fight this one out. Best modern Western, 310 to Yuma versus Django Unchained. Go ahead and fight.
Okay, Django. That's a great movie. I do have problems with it, and I'm hit or miss with Tarantino. And Django is one of the first movies I've seen from him, and I'm still split on how I feel about it. On one hand, it is a great revenge Western. It's a great tribute to spaghetti Westerns as a whole. It's overlong. It's the violence. I know Tarantino is famous for his ridiculous, over-the-top violence. I think he goes overboard here, especially in the final fight. Not taking away anything else from that movie. The performances out of this world, incredible. I think my movie has as good performances, though. I would put Ben Foster up against anyone from that movie as Charlie Prince. He's terrifying in my movie. Also, Tarantino's cameo at the end is horrible. I'll just throw that out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, like 310 to Yuma, probably a great movie. It's a remake, and when I saw the question best modern Western, I immediately thought it's like, well, I mean, it's a cheat to pick something that existed before the 20 years, and Django Unchained is the best modern western because new story and not a rehashing of a previous story. And it's nominated for a few Oscars as well, and it won for best original screenplay, and it's just perfectly written. And I mean, the length need to be the story in and sequels all the time.
I think the whole remake argument is interesting because I think that even elevates my movie a little bit because it took a good old Western and made it 10 times better. That old movie is hard to get through. It stayed mildly close to the story, but dove much deeper into it. I'm just going to say this. The one thing about Django, there is one thing that bothers me a little bit about it. It made the KKK like a part of the movie and didn't address it like seriously. There's a whole sequence in the movie with the KKK, and it's a big joke. And I know that they get killed at the end, which, that's great. It's still, there's no seriousness when it really, it has a chance to go into that. And I think Tarantino is the wrong person. That movie got a big backlash for its use of the N-word. I think some of that does have to come into it. It makes light of some things that should be taken much more serious.
Yeah, I mean, like, yes, light of it, but I mean, it's one of those things I don't think Ted wanted of, because I think, like, you could do something when you're dealing with slavery and can actually show what it was, or you could, like, take it and show that, like, there can, like, yeah, I mean, like, bother me, and I mean, like many critics, top 10 top movies of the year, of that year, and it's just one of those movies which it's got lots of great characters. I mean, Calvin Candy is like, it's just perfect. And I mean, he injured himself by getting into his role, but he kept going, and it's like,
interesting you brought up the characters. That was where I was going next too. Here's my thing about the characters in Django is they are all one note. There is no layers to any of them, and it's fine. That's okay for a movie. I think if we're gonna say best Western though, best modern Western, there should be a little depth to the characters. They're all very one-dimensional. Calvin Candy, he's an evil, horrible, racist plantation owner. That's fine. That's a great villain. Django, he's this freed slave who's going to save his wife. That's fine. It's still one-dimensional. There's no interesting depth to anything, and I think that is what makes movies very watchable. Are the characters interesting? Dale Evans, Christian Bale's character in 3:10 to Yuma, he's a former Civil War veteran who is trying. He's living in this drought. The water has been taken from his land, and he owes money. And he's looked at as a failure, and the worst thing for him is that his son can't look up to him, his wife can't look up to him, and this movie is about his redemption. And at the same time, the villain, he's not all evil. He is all evil, but at the end of the movie, this journey shows that if he can redeem this kid's son, played by Logan Lerman, if he can redeem his son by getting on the train for his dad, he can he can make his dad a hero in this kid's eyes and maybe keep him from becoming himself. That's depth. That's character development.
All right, guys, and with that, that is going to be the end of the main fight. So this is the final argument. This is the last shot to get any last jab-ins or any defenses for your movie or against the other film. Malcolm, you're going to be going first on this one. Last argument.
Yeah, so Django Unchained is the best modern wrestling because it's still relevant. Like the whole racism element, it's still relevant in this day and age. And like Freaking Human, it's a remake of an old movie that's past the 20-year mark. So I mean, like, I mean, it's not great, but I mean, it's also it's just one of those ones that, I mean, it's a remake, so I mean, it's still retelling that same story, and I mean, the actors are different and all that, and it's just retelling. I mean, Django Unchained is an all new story, and it's, I mean, and like the music and all that is great.
All right, Isaac, final argument.
Django Unchained would be relevant if it had taken its matter seriously and not made jokes out of it. That undercuts the whole relevancy of taking a serious look at racism and all that. 310 to Yuma, it might be a remake, and it might have some of the same character names, but the movie is completely different. The themes that it explores, even the characters themselves, they have the same names, but the depth is much there. Once again, to reiterate, the performances are out of this world, next level. The final walk to the train, run to the train as bullets are flying all around them, that before Dan Evans makes that decision, and the railroad man tries to pay him to leave. He says, "It's okay, it's fine. Here's $200, just leave." And he says, "No, I was paid $200 when I left the Civil War, and the thing is, the government wasn't paying me to walk away. They were paying so they could walk away, so that they could be cowards." And that's what this whole movie is about. It's about cowardice and standing up for what's right. And when Christian Bale looks at his son and says, "You remember, your old man walked Ben Wade to that train when no one else would." And at the end of the movie, when, spoiler alert, Dan Evans dies and his son is sitting there by his body, and he says, "You've done it, Paul." That's the point of the movie. That's the redemption of his son. His son finally looks at him as a hero, finally gets what his dad has been trying to teach him this whole movie, and he's saved. He's going to go back to his home, and that's what makes this the best Western. It's a true Western. It's not some movie set in the West with Tarantino written dialogue. It's authentic. And it's a beautifully directed, beautiful soundtrack. 310 to Yuma, best modern Western.
Sorry about that. All right, guys. So for the final fight of the main match, once again, a really good fight you guys put in. Unfortunately, once again, I am going to have to give the point to Isaac simply because he brought out a lot of points, very big points that he hit against Django, the overuse of violence, specifically a lot of the racism involved in the film, and whether or not it is meant to be taken lighthearted is one thing, and he did bring out the one-note characters. And while I do think both guys did a good job of putting the points out on their film, and I think a big point that Malcolm had early on was that 310 to Yuma was just a remake of the film, whereas Django is more of a tribute, but still brings an original story and style to it. In the end, I am going to have to give the point to Isaac, which unfortunately means that Malcolm is knocked out in a 4-0 loss to Isaac. But before we give our closing thoughts, I just want to say that that is not a representation of how good a fighter Malcolm is, and both these guys are really good fighters. This is not, obviously we've had fighters in the past that are, maybe quicker speakers, or they're good at rattling more information off, but I think even though both of you guys are slower speakers, and this may not be quote unquote the most entertaining match. You guys are both really good fighters, and despite your records, I think both of you are gonna do really good in this league.
A good match, Malcolm. It's been a pleasure going up against you. It's been hard.
As just someone giving advice, I would say maybe the biggest thing that hurt Malcolm in the fight is he's really good at getting the defense up against his own film. You just need to get a little bit better at attacking the other person's movie, and you'll start to get those points and start to get those wins. If you can just improve your comeback against the other person, that's what's going to earn the victory.
Yeah, that's things like, and it didn't help that a lot of those moves I haven't actually seen. So, as well, beside the same problem when I had the fight against Jacob when it used to be the fan movie fights.
All right, guys. So with that, Isaac is the winner. And just so you guys can get a look at your matches in the future, both of you guys do have matches scheduled in the future. Malcolm, your match is going to be against actually someone making their debut in the league down the road, Robert Parker. So what do you think of that?
Should be interesting.
All right, so you'll at least have the experience up on him. And Isaac, your next match is going to be against the winner of Zach Ford versus Jeremy Adams, which for you, it won't be for another little while. We're not going to see that match, but that's the one that you're looking out for. The winner of that match is the person you're going up against.
Okay, I look forward to either one of them. This has just done nothing but give me more confidence. I like arguing movies, and I'm prepared for anything, so bring it.
All right, guys, and with that, that is going to be the end of this episode of Movie Battleground. We're going to go ahead and we'll go back to Isaac first. Anywhere people can find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Filmer2013. You can check out my Facebook page, The Film Freak Show. You can see I record here against my background. So yeah, check me out there. Do live streams on YouTube, all that.
All right, and Malcolm, anywhere that people can find you?
Yeah, I'm always on Facebook at Malcolm Goldie, and like I've got a Twitter account, but I don't actually use it. So Malcolm, but yeah.
All right, guys, and you can find me on. I don't have a Twitter. You can find me on Instagram at Aaron T. Canole. For all the other, you can follow. I don't know their personal accounts offhand. I should probably learn that, but go ahead and follow all the other Movie Battleground admins: Superhath Sharma, Matt Beer, Evan DeGraff. If you guys are not subscribed to the channel, we upload these on That Movie Guy, Matt's channel. You guys should subscribe to that, so that way you guys can stay updated on when all the matches are uploaded. And if you guys are not a part of the Movie Battleground Facebook page, you should definitely join that. Every once in a while we'll have some discussion on there. That's also where all the updates on the matches go. We also post the matches on there. And every once in a while we may have a special little event coming up like we do next week. And you can get a part of that if you're on the Facebook page. Also, just getting on the list for matches. We're currently not adding any more matches till next year, but you guys, if you join the group, message me. You guys can hop on that list, and when we start bringing new people in, you'll be the first names to get in there. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this episode of Movie Battleground. My name is Aaron Canole. See you guys next time.